Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Recruit Military Live, where we will be discussing how to build your network like a pro. My name is Gabby Petticrew, and joining me today as my amazing co-host as always is
Raul Torres.
Thanks for joining us today, Raul. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Awesome. I'm excited to get to talking about the power of networking and how to go about the steps of doing that, how to build a network like a pro. So one of our guests today is the Vice President of Military Engagement for American Corporate Partners and has been assisting transitioning service members and spouses in developing post-military careers for 15 years. As a military spouse herself of 27 years, she understands the unique challenges of being a military spouse and is passionate about empowering others to find and grow great careers. She holds a master's in business administration from Texas A&M University of Commerce and has been awarded for her volunteerism with the Meritorious Public Service Medal, Commander's Award for Public Service, Civilian Volunteer of the Year, and many, many more. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Miss Leslie Coffey. Good morning, Leslie.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending on the time zone, I guess.
Wherever you are, very true. Yeah, wherever you are, send us a big hello from whatever state or overseas area that you are. Thank you again for joining us today, Leslie. We're excited to have you back. Our last live with you went fantastic, and so we're even more excited to have you today with our second guest.
Absolutely. And then accompanying her today is a senior recruiter at the Walt Disney Company. He's focused on engineering internships. He is an Air Force veteran, serving 20 years both as an aircraft maintainer and Air Force recruiter. That's where he retired at the rank of Master Sergeant in 2021. He's a part of the leadership team for Disney Salute Veteran Employee Resource Groups, where he advocates for veteran employment opportunities with Their Heroes Work Here fellowship participant. So please give us a warm welcome in welcoming Max Tubbs.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Raul.
Hey,
Gabby.
Hey, Max.
We got a full house today, y'all, as you can see. We brought out the whole team today. Well, today we are talking about, how to build a network like a pro. And what I love about this group of people is we're all interconnected, unknowingly to our audience. We're all interconnected in this like spider web of just like that's branching off into a million and one ways. So Max, if you can give us a little bit, about your history, how your experience with ACP and then, how that led to where you are now.
Yeah, great. So first off, like I said, thank you so much for having me. As Raul said, I was in the Air Force for 20 years. And in 2021, when I retired from the Air Force, I started my next chapter, basically, right? So you have to go through the whole thing almost all over again. When you're in the Air Force, when you're in the military, you have that incredible support system. And then once you leave it, you're kind of on your own. So I started going through the whole employment process, applying for positions, obviously with various companies. And I didn't have a lot of direction. And it's something that is kind of common, but it's unfortunate. So when it came to looking for somebody to help me with navigating that, having American Corporate Partners and ACP was so pivotal and so crucial to that success, that successful moment of making everything click. So luckily I found Leslie and she was such a guiding beacon to help me navigate it. And then I got the chance to have a mentor that was specifically designed for me and my opportunities and what I was looking for. So it was a great opportunity to kind of make everything click and line up to where I am now, basically in the Walt Disney Company, and loving every minute of it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And Leslie, from obviously being with American Corporate Partners, how do you feel that when it comes to networking, having a mentor can expand on that networking capability?
Well, especially when you're leaving the military, the biggest thing is you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
And the other part of it is not having that network outside the gates. And most of your network when you're in the military or military themselves. And if you think about it, even in the military, you've done You're using your network. Maybe you need something from supply and hey man, can you hit me up? You're networking at that point. As a military spouse, when you're PCSing, you're networking because you're needing to learn who are the good doctors or hairdressers or schools or neighborhoods. So that's networking in a personal manner. For when you're leaving the military or looking for that next career, you need to learn somebody that's already doing the thing, that's already in that space, in that industry, that has years of experience. And then guess what? If they're in that industry, chances are most of their network is as well. So they're going to be able to introduce you to others in that career path that you may be interested in.
I appreciate you sharing that, Leslie. I got to say, as an ACP previous mentee, I got to say it really got the ball rolling. My mentor was Leslie, or not Leslie, Miss Roberts over at Hearst, and she was fantastic. She really got the ball rolling for me to kind of understand like what it means to network and to talk to other individuals, like you were saying, outside of the gate. Really got the ball rolling for me and changed the way I thought completely of like, hey, how am I supposed to get my next career after the military? And obviously step one is networking. So she really did that for me. But I wanted to throw out there, as far as like keeping momentum, ACP was really good with the admin piece, with keeping myself and my mentor up to date and just kind of checking up on us. What exactly does ACP do as far as like accountability and continuing to check in, like that piece?
Yeah, so I think we should really backtrack and start with our process. So one thing to know is our process is totally human driven. You have somebody almost like an agent, if you will, that's going to go on the hunt after they talk with you on the phone. Imagine that, something that's not AI generated, something, it's a person, it's a human listening to you, wanting to understand your goals, your interests, what even you're looking to do next. If you're undecided, we get it. About 86% of those coming in, that's exactly what their mentor does. That's what my mentor did for me. Career exploration was the beginning, helping me figure out what was a good match, because it's just as important to like eliminate what's not a good match. So you're not wasting your time going down all these different lanes, right? But once we find a potential mentor for you, we're going to present them to you. You let us know. Absolutely. For me, I was like, all caps, yes. How fast can I talk to Dana? I need her in my life. Or if we miss the mark, you tell us. But even after that, we make the introduction. You both agree to work together. It's a mutually agreed upon relationship. And from there, we actually are checking in every month. We're that accountability partner. We're that nudge. Are you on track to meet your goal? Because at the end of the day, we want you to meet your goal, whether it's launching a business, gaining an internship, going to school, or meaningful employment. Like whatever is important to you, it's customized on you and your journey. So we want to make sure that you're on track to meet that goal. And that person that was there at the beginning is going to be there every step of the way too.
Yeah.
I love that, Leslie.
Yeah, I just want to kind of add to that. When it comes to the way that human aspect is incorporated into ACP, what's so good about it is a lot of the mentors, they may be veterans in the corporate world now, so that they're able to speak and understand that language for those transitioning service members, the military spouses. Like they understand what they're going through. It was really helpful for me as a mentee, as a protege, to have somebody that was a veteran, and they understand what type of experiences I had, and then to kind of continue the camaraderie piece. It was almost like I never left that kind of environment, right? Because it's so important in the military to have that team focus and that aspect. And we still stay in touch. Shout out to my first mentor, Andrew Barnes. You really changed my life. It was awesome. But having that experience really influenced and impacted me to want to give back in the same way. So I turned around and became a mentor. I'm on my second mentorship right now, but we stay in touch as if we were friends for as long as we've been in the service. And it's that human aspect that really makes those meaningful relationships last and matter.
That's phenomenal, Max. And for those that are not aware why we have both of these amazing guests here today, it is National Mentorship Month. And with that mentorship, we love the topic of how those relationships, that mentorship is not just for a certain amount of time, for a couple of months or just that first year of transition. It could be for a lifetime. And that relationship can branch off into so many other relationships of networking. When I heard, first Raul's story of how he what his transition process was like and how he ended up where he is now, to speaking with Leslie and speaking with Max, I'm very envious. I wish I knew about ACP and went through their whole program and process. But, I love that each and every one of us has our own networking story. So I told it before, but I'm here in my position here today because of a LinkedIn networking post that I saw from Raul. Had just finished my last contracting position and was like, you know what? I haven't touched LinkedIn in like 2 years. So let me go up there, freshen up my bio and my profile pic. And then was just doing some wondrous scrolling down my timeline and saw the position posted, the link for this position that I'm in now. And already, Raul's post had so much traction, so much engagement. I was reading the comments. My imposter syndrome was like through the roof. I was like, I'm looking at these people's profiles on LinkedIn, doing some stalking. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to, beat these people out because they just seem like amazing candidates. And lo and behold, here I am. So it literally, I read an article also that said one of the best places to network is LinkedIn and career fairs, but not a lot of people know about programs like ACP. And what I love about ACP and any mentorship program is that they give you the tools for everything that you need before you even start building that network, before you go out into the world and start applying those. They give you all of the tools that you would need, like for instance, like building an elevator pitch. They will help you craft everything that you want to present about yourself in a nice pitch, and then make sure you just have everything that you need in order to be successful out in the world within that networking area.
Absolutely. And I wish I started earlier. I remember looking at the documents that I got from ACP, and there was like a legit timeline for like a year before you transition out. And I'm sitting here maybe like 4, 5, 6 months before, thinking about getting out. Like, man, I should have started sooner.
Mm-hmm.
However, the time I had with Lauren at Hearst was fantastic. It's been a while since we kept in touch, but I do, Max, have the same kind of relationship where you can reach out anytime, and it's great. But I wanted to ask about like the timeline for networking, because I always think, the sooner you start, the better. Obviously, you're not going to sign a military contract and already think of, the next step
Mm-hmm.
after your career. But you do want to have a timeline, especially if you decide early on, that you're going to move on. So just wanted to ask, like, what's like the recommended time frame where you would start, applying to ACP or reaching out and figuring it out, what kind of mentorship you want?
I would probably go for the 9-month mark out from transition. Ideally, just because you want that mentor to also help you with the salary negotiation piece, to coach you through that. It's not anything that veterans typically have done, or at least for a while during service, right? But also military spouses. Sometimes military spouses may not have the confidence piece to go into salary negotiation. And so having that mentor, even post-service, and then once you land the job, that first 6 months, it's the integration piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if nobody on your team is military connected. The honeymoon phase is over, and then it's integrating, right, and learning how to operate. Having that sounding board, that's that person that just has your back, that is there for an asthma check. I mean, I might lose my mind. This is how it works. Somebody there that has vested interest in you and your success, I think, is really helpful. Now, just like Max, I'm still in my touch with my mentor 5 years later. So very fortunate for that. But I would say you can start a year out from terminal, but I would say probably a little bit less, just so you have them on the integration side as well.
Yeah, I would say that when you're going through transition assistance program, that whole class, when you're learning about what comes after the service, right? There's going to be so much information you're going to get through a fire hose. I'm sure we're all very familiar with that 1 week of here's everything and then you're on your own kind of thing. So you have a lot of other things to process. Before you start thinking about how I'm going to laser focus in. So, like Leslie said, 8 and 9 months is a good starting point. I will say that it's never too early to network, regardless, right? So as long as you start, thinking about what industries, what companies, what organizations you want to be part of, you can always start reaching out and looking for opportunities to connect with people on LinkedIn, or if you have a friend of a friend that can help you establish those kind of networks. But yeah, 8 and 9 months is a good place. And you have this whole mentorship program for a whole year. So it's not like, you do it and then you hit your 8 or 9 months out and you're like, okay, well, I'm out of the service. Thanks for everything. No, it stays with you, until. So.
Yeah, and Max, you absolutely read my mind with that when it comes to the transition process. You're just overwhelmed with so much information. And it's also like, well, what do I start with first? And when it comes to the transition process, you're not really thinking about networking. That's not really at the forefront of your brain. You're not thinking of like, what conversations should I be having with which people at which time point? So thank you for touching on that. That's a question that I'm sure many transitioning service members or even veterans now have, like, who should I be talking to at what point in regards to having a successful career outside, in what specific industry, and what questions should I be asking that person? So is that something that ACP, really helps with when it comes to those situations?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Again, it's customized based off of the individual, their season of life, their experience level. Everyone's journey is unique. And I think that's the beauty of it, is because when you are going through TAP or TRS, it's just the herding the cattle and everybody gets the same information. And
on the list.
Somebody's launching a business has different needs than somebody that's going to school or somebody that's trying to get a senior position. So it really, that's the process that we take. It's completely customized based off of the individual. And we go into great detail to find a mentor. But I would like to really piggyback off what Max was saying about your network. Sometimes networking, especially, I will tell you what I hear often, those leaving service, it feels slimy. It's like salesy. Be yourself. Just be yourself, right? There's only one you. Everyone else is taken. And what I would say, what I do for networking is I try to provide something of value as I'm expanding my network before I go for an ask. So you're not going to send that connection request and say, hey, can you look at my resume? Or, hey, can you find me a position that fits? That's off-putting. That's not the approach. First of all, you want to learn about them. You want to find some commonalities. And when I say providing something of value, it doesn't have to be like a job. I mean, it could be a TED Talk that you think they might be interested in, or maybe you have commonality of sports. You could speak to that. So I think, you got to really understand it's just human connection. And from there, when you develop that trust and that foundation of trust in that relationship, then that's where they may be willing to make those introductions for you. And that's why the mentorship works, because you do have a year to build that foundation of trust for introductions and referrals and things like that.
Yes, just that mutual relationship, I think, is what mutually beneficial relationship between the mentor and the mentees. It's not just a one-way street, or just with any connection that you make while out there networking. It's not just what can they do for me constantly. It's what can I help provide them. It could be, something as little as I don't know the answer to this, but I served with a friend for 10 years who had a background in this, or was this MOS, this job field, and he would be the person, I'll make some introductions and provide contact information, and y'all can go at it. It's something as simple as that. And you never know, or that you may be helping them out by filling a huge job position that they've been needing for however long. And now you're the hero after making that connection. So you never know what can come out of just the smallest conversations, the first job that I had getting out of the military. And I got out at probably the worst time, and not like the worst position, But I had already had my daughter. She was about 1.5 years, and my son just had him 3 months before getting out of the Marine Corps in 2019, November of 2019. And then come March, April of 2020 was when everything was shutting down with COVID. And of course, like, I'm applying to everything. I'm all over on every job application site you could think of. And during, what was it, November timeframe of that previous year, soon after getting out, I had went and got family pictures with myself and my family at the time. And the photographer who did our portraits at that time was a previous female Marine who had also been in my same MOS and was moving from North Carolina to Texas and was leaving the contract position that she was in because it had to be local. They had to be physically there. And when it came time for her to leave, she let me know that she was leaving, asked if I was interested, threw my name directly into the ring to the top brass. And there I was in the position a month later. So I'm like a living testament of how networking can just solve any and I'm not will always solve any and all issues, but can be like a, guiding light to where you want to be. So not only was it helpful for me in that one, little instance of having pictures taken with my family, to getting my first contract position and all that stress melting away, to now being in the position that I am now with Raul. It's extremely beneficial. Yeah, I never go into these networks. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm networking. When I'm networking, I'm just making, friendships and small, acquaintances that I just happen to keep in touch with. And then it comes full circle back and, a huge blessing in return. So I don't know if any of y'all have had those type of instances, but for me, I feel like I'm a walking testament of the power of networking.
I will say that when it comes to networking, having a veteran or military spouse or somebody in the military community to kind of make those connections and help out, it really feels like you are, as veterans in the military community, we continue to want to give back and serve and help, right? So it is more, you get more reception when it comes to talking with a veteran or anybody in the community. But when it comes to having that kind of support system, I will share a story when it comes to that. Leslie, she was like, when I was transitioning out, it was during the height of COVID as well. So I was in a place where I was supposed to start a skill bridge. And unfortunately, the day I was supposed to start the paperwork, everything shut down at the place I was supposed to apply for. So I was kind of panicking. Right? I didn't know what I needed to do. And I was very nervous. And so fortunate that Leslie connected with me weeks prior to this happening, and we had a little established relationship and established communication. And she was able to help me out with an opportunity, and she stayed connected with me throughout the entire time. So she really did put me in a position to learn the corporate side, learn the outside structure of what it meant to be not in the military anymore, and to be somebody that can say, I'm service connected, but I'm still, I'm still not in, basically. But she helped me be a member of society, if you will, if that makes sense. But she really did saved my personal and professional life. Because I want to let you know, when it comes to leaving the military, we get so nervous because we don't have that support system anymore. Like, you're on your own. I'm going to tell you this: if you're a veteran out there, and if you have a unicorn story where everything is lined up and the planets are ready for you, congratulations. But that's not the common setup. 9 times out of 10, I talk to veterans, and it is, I don't know what I need to do. Who do I talk to? How do I connect with someone on LinkedIn? How do I apply for this? What does my resume look like? We don't have that support system anymore, so we have to do it on our own. So to have somebody like Leslie, for me, show me this is how you can translate that information into your resume. This is how you can start those questions. This is how you can do those follow-ups. It was a game changer for me. And so you really did provide so much to me, Leslie, and I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for me. So.
He's trying to give me my feels on this line here, y'all.
Someone is definitely chopping onions up in here.
Yes. Oh, Max, you made it pretty easy. How about that? I can share, on the family side of the house, it's also challenging. So I am, fun fact, 7 days from being a veteran spouse. As my service member is wrapping up 30 years.
Man.
And we chose to locate in a place that is not military connected. It's not close to military. And I will tell you, it has been very isolating. I mean, kids are year and a half later still having a hard time finding friends or figuring out, how to fit in. And then, I really don't have anybody local either. So on, I absolutely see the isolation piece on the veteran side, but on the family and the spouse side as well. But Max, really, anybody knows who knows you're a rock star. So it's just giving you a little bit of direction.
And I absolutely love that. Not everyone thinks about a mentor just being a gold mine for a network of just amazing individuals. When you tap into that relationship with a mentor, you never know all the connections that they have at their fingertips and where that relationship will lead later on down the road. As we're wrapping up here in our final minutes, do y'all have any parting words of wisdom when it comes to not only mentorship, but how that works hand in hand with building your network and the tools that a mentor can provide for that transition and for a successful networking?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Max.
Nope, you go ahead, Leslie. I'll wait.
I would say the biggest thing is to circle back, to know you don't have to walk this journey alone. It really can be, because it's individualized. That can be a blessing, but it's also, it can just feel so isolating. So that mentor is there to be the sounding board, the support system as well. I do a long time ACP mentors become fast friends. And then lastly, I'll share that in addition to just the one-on-one mentor, we go live with our partners twice a week. And the great thing about building your network there is you can ask questions, you can connect with the presenters, you can get their LinkedIn URL, you can get their email address because they're going to share all that in the chat. So that is an easy opening right there, like an opening volley to say, hey, I just saw you on ACP. Boom, you're going to get connected. So I would say, in addition to the one-to-one mentor, also our LinkedIn Live events every Tuesday and Thursday, getting with those recruiters.
Yeah, I will say that I've been out of the military almost 3 years now, and the need for mentorship in the veteran community and in the military community itself it's still as high as it ever was. So if there is opportunities for you to want to give back or to have that opportunity to continue to serve, right? Whether it's on a mentorship or just anything, I mean, American Corporate Partners is so valuable. It's such a great program for anybody that is looking to provide those kind of resources to our military community, to our veterans, our military spouses, or anybody that's in the transition from military to civilian. So it's made a believer out of me. Like I said, I went from protege to mentor, and it is such an incredible experience the entire way through. So
that's fantastic.
Truly a success story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to this day, when I have buddies getting out and they kind of come to me for what do I do now? Since you did it, I tell them drop everything, and outside of RecruitMilitary resources, the very first thing I tell them to do is sign up for a mentor on ACP, and that's every single person that reaches out to me. That is what I recommend to this day, because it works. So.
Living proof right here, y'all. And I will always be envious that everything happens for a reason. I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I wish I just had that experience to go through, because obviously it's extremely successful. And I'm so happy to have had you all here today to share this wealth of knowledge. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We will get to them. Any important links will be dropped there as well, directly to ACP. Thank you all again for joining us today and sharing this wealth of knowledge. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you for joining us today's episode of RecruitMilitary Live, and we will see you next time.
See ya.